Hi,
Hello.
Michael. Hi, Luke. Good to see both of you.
You too.
Yes, likewise.
Right, Michael. Last time I met you in New York, we were talking about the journey of your character from fans really liking him to not liking him so much.
No, it
Where
was the
does
other
he
way
go?
around, but yeah.
Right. Where does he go this time?
Well, hopefully people continue to like him.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's somebody who it's so interesting to play a character like Joel because I don't know what's going to happen from one episode to the next. He's constantly evolving. He's, I think, fairly unpredictable. And so, yeah, he's just, you see him evolve. There's not a lot we can say about the new season, unfortunately, but you do continue to see him evolve, and you continue to see his relationship with May evolve, as well as his relationship with Mitch evolve. So yeah, the bottom line is he's constantly evolving, and that's what makes him so much fun to play.
Right. And Luke, we see, your character has a journey of its own. What kind of a relationship, friendship does he share with Mitch firstly?
I mean, they seem to have a very sort of strong and special bond, and there's an obvious kind of they're drawn to each other, but it's out of their kind of mutual admiration for each other's, for the moxie that they both have, and for the work that they're endeavoring to do. So I think they're kind of, they're playing in a kind of, that you have to be very careful with friendships like that, because they can, you're messing with a kind of chemistry that can, if given the wrong dose, can be too explosive, and so they're seeking it out, searching, exploring.
Right.
But they're staying kind of, they seem to be staying true to each other in their friendship, and their concerns for one another are legitimate. They're very human, and that's sort of what this season, what we're kind of exploring still is,
Right.
watching
Right.
that evolve and seeing where that kind of chemistry takes them.
Right. Looking forward to that. Michael, when you all started in season 1, did you ever imagine we'll be here talking about season 4?
I guess I'm sure, I hope so.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's just, I mean, in a way, yes, I don't know. It's the kind of thing where, like, I obviously hoped it would continue, but you never have any idea in this business. You don't,
Right.
I was just hoping, I think at the time, that people would actually watch the show. And now that they have, I hope it continues forever.
Yeah, right. Luke, what is it about it? It's at the end of the day, it's a story of this one girl and her relationship with all the family members. It's a family story. What is it that you feel has connected with such a huge audience worldwide, and it's just on a roll season after season?
I mean, I think people do identify, there's such a kind of, a mix of personalities in these families. And so I think people can identify with all of them in some degree. And people definitely identify with the frustration of, if you're lucky enough to have a strong family, as kind of anxiety inducing and kind of crippling as it can be to have a strong family, it's also lucky, and I think people relate to those dynamics, the frustrations that come with the responsibilities of having to be around other people who care for each other, and also the reflection of, like, if you have big dreams, how a family can either foster those dreams, but also there's an exercise where there needs to be letting go inside of that also. And, you know, that's a dance that anybody who kind of endeavors to venture out past the harbor of their family life has to contend with. You know, so I think that, you know, for a world of dreamers, you know, Midge is a great hero for us to kind of,
right. And
you know,
Michael,
put our
when you
energy
sit in, when you sit and think about it, what do you think has clicked? You know, is there a secret? Is it just a relatable show? What is it?
I think it's everything. I mean, I think first and foremost, it's just a joy to watch. It's a funny show. The writing is super smart. It's visually stunning. You know, beautiful colors, the costumes, like Luke said, the family aspect. I think it's all of those pieces put together, and it just makes this really wonderful, enjoyable show that really, you know, takes you out of whatever's going on right now. In whether it's in the world or in your life, you could just sit back and watch and forget all your troubles. And I think that's the beauty of it.
Right. Luke, how often does in an actor's career, how often do you get offers, you know, for characters like something that you will enjoy watching as well and not just playing it?
You know, it's case by case, you know.
Right.
I mean, I think that you have to be a little bit convinced when you take on a project that it's something that you can kind of that you would want to watch in a way, because you have to be in that world for however long it takes to complete.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so usually if you're lucky, you read something and feel kind of compelled towards it for whatever reason. There's a simpatico with whatever it is that you're sort of trying to seek out in your life at that moment, that script reflects something back to you. And you know,
Right.
I think that's probably the best approach to it. But the reality of, you know, this kind of work is that, you know, it's a slog. And so you can't always be, you know, in love with everything. And it's good to learn how to play make-believe. So,
Right.
but I do think, you know, it's good for whoever is searching these things out to do it from a place that is meaningful, you know.
Right.
But you're very lucky to have it happen.
Right. Michael, you know, very interesting graph of your character. How often does a character like this come to an actor?
Yeah, not very often. I mean, you know, this was the first TV show that I've done where I'm a regular role on the show. I've always kind of played recurring characters, but this was the first time that I read something and I was like, you know, this is something I have to be a part of, and that's very rare for me. It's incredibly rare. I hardly ever like anything that I read, and yeah, the fact that he is evolving and he does, you know, he's tough to pin down, and you know, I certainly don't have him all figured out, and that's wonderful. I love that about him. I love reading, you know, episode to episode, seeing what he does and how he changes and how he's not this one note kind of villain, but he's a human being and he has flaws, and he's real, and you know, and this is, you know, it is, Maisel is technically a heightened reality. It's in this, you know, this world, this kind of magical, not necessarily real kind of world. I mean, there's a bit of fiction to it, and I personally think that Joel is probably the most grounded out of all the characters, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean he's the most relatable.
Right.
So yeah, I love it. I love playing him, and I'm so happy that I get to continue doing so.
Great. I've you know, I watched 2 episodes and thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you
Yeah?
to both
Oh,
of you.
good. Great.
Thank
Thank you, Rohit.